Hey, everybody, if it's your first time here, yay for you. Wise decision. And if you're just returning, yay for us. Okay, so, we come here with whatever rolls out, I guess is what we'll say. I do want to say this, though, now that I'm thinking about it. Please don't wait. Don't wait to have it together before you meet Jesus, because if you read the Bible, he picks people like Kim, like me, like he has done monumental work in me. But you name it, I did it. Every jail, dancing poles, all the nasties, which I don't need to go into that. A lot of you know what I'm talking about. But the wonderful thing about the relationship with God is he meets you right where you're at, and he'll change you. All you have to do is show up and be willing. So don't wait until, oh, well, I can't, oh, well, I will, but first I want, blah, blah, blah. But don't do that. Don't do that. You're wasting precious time.
Yeah, we actually talked about this morning
a
little bit at the House of Ruth in my class with the girls. I was trying to remember what was actually said about that. I can't remember, but I always bring it back to, or it always comes back to, Philippians 2:13, that God gives us the power and the desire to do the things that please him. So if you're in a situation and you need to change, but you really don't want to, you're like, I don't want to give up this habit, but at the very least, like maybe you want to. That is enough. God will help you. He will give you that power and the desire to do whatever. All he asks is that you give him you. He just wants to spend time with you. He wants you to be in his word. He wants you to pray. He wants you not just to speak when you pray, but to listen. I think that's an area, we kind of mess up. We say, oh, I got to do my little daily prayers. Like it's a thing you've got to check off on your list, and then you get into it.
Truth.
And you're like,
that's truth.
Well, God bless little Jimmy, and God bless this person, and oh, bless this person, and Lord, please protect us from all evil, and blah, blah. And then we get done, and we get up, and we go, and God's like, well, wait a minute, do I get to say anything? Like we would never do that with people. If you walk up to talk to somebody, you ask them like, hey, how was your day? And then you shut up and you listen. And definitely when you're talking to the king of the universe, you should shut up and listen, but we are so.
But can we think for a minute, how long do you spend with God? There's this church called The Pillar. And he just came out with this thing for the next 21 days for his church that for those who wanted to, because it says that the prayers go up to heaven, and then there is a point where they're going to all be released down here. So he has his people, if they want to, which that right there is a stopper, but 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night. But some of the other people, like David, did a little noon one too. So 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. Now, that's a sum total of a half an hour, and we're running crazy the other 23 and a half hours of a day. That is just craziness. It is crazy. And then we have the audacity to say, why aren't things well? Why am I not having that word, fruit? Why am I not producing fruit? Which I don't want to. gotta come another word for that. Why are
The
not
evidence. It's the
yes? Let's
evidence.
say
We
evidence.
talked about this last
So
week.
can you not say fruit and we can use
I
evidence?
am never going to promise that I cannot.
Well, can you
I will
try?
try. I did
just for
last
this
week. Last
time.
week
Yeah,
I said
let's
evidence.
not say that. Yeah, let's use evidence. I
Although
like
it's
that.
funny because how many times have you said it just now?
I don't like
2
it.
or
though.
3. But
Well,
you
that's
said
because
it.
that's what people. That's Christian talk. So I
Yeah.
Christian talked it.
Okay.
You know, there is that.
There
Blessed
is.
and highly favored.
Yeah.
Response for everything. How are you? Blessed and highly favored.
Well, I am blessed and highly favored. You can't kill me. You can't do that.
It's just a fake kill.
What? You can't
So
even
continue
fake kill
on
me.
with something good.
Yeah. No.
Continue
Sure.
on.
Sure.
But
Absolutely.
Look at the guys in the Bible. He picks, and they're wonderful human beings before they die. Look at them, Abraham, David. Look at what they did. Okay, Paul. I mean, look at Paul. You know, I mean, look at John. I mean, look at all of them. And then they end up. Oh, that's bad, isn't it?
You're seeing it now. Are you feeling guilty about you trying to fake murder me on live television?
No, I'm not. I'm not feeling guilty about that.
Well, you go home and chew on that.
Please,
sis.
Sunday, if I say, how are you, don't say blessed and highly
Oh, I
favored.
will. That will always be my answer from
And then
this
I'm gonna-
point on.
But anyways, those guys, they were a mess. In
Listen.
multitude of ways. And look what God did.
Listen, God is so good, you guys. You know, like people do talk a little Christianese sometimes. And I think
a lot. I'm saying a lot.
It's not for everybody.
No,
If
it's not for me.
Like, this is real. If you are talking to somebody that's like fresh out of addiction, that might just be like a little bit
My little ball's gone.
seeking
I got to get the little
the
ball.
Lord, but not really. Like, you know who you can talk to that stuff about. And it's the same way. It's like, okay, so Kim's a doctor. Okay, if I walked in and she started naming off body parts that are deep inside my body that are like things that, I don't know, weird doctor talk. And she started saying that to me, I'd be like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
I don't. So there.
Right, but I'm trying to make an analogy here.
Yeah.
That like,
Okay.
but if she was talking to another doctor, she could reference some other words that most people on the street wouldn't know, because the doctor that she's talking to also went to, years of schooling to understand these things. So they could use those words together. And your Christianese, as we're calling it, is for other people who are at your level. There is nothing wrong with saying that you are blessed and highly favored. Some days, like, you really need to speak that over yourself because you're going through things, or you just want to keep that positive outlook and keep your eyes on Jesus. So you need to say that stuff. We all know there's a ton of other things that you can say to other Christians who are aware of the lingo that we use, and it's not that we made up this stuff. This stuff comes out of the Bible, so
Fruit.
you can't be upset at God's words, okay? Take that up with him. But if you're talking to somebody who's fresh into this life and doesn't know all that stuff yet, then you're just going to be throwing things out that they don't understand. So you need to talk to whoever you're talking to on the level that they're at.
And I'm on a low level, so talk low to me. I'm not good with those words. That's just what I'll say about it. I'm just not good. I understand them. But
She understands.
I
don't know, but let's move on.
yeah.
God is good, and exciting things are happening in life right now. I'm trying to talk everybody into showing up at my house on Tuesday mornings for 5:30 a.m. prayer, and everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy. But I just want you to know that I am blessed and highly favored. Because getting up at 5 a.m. and inviting women into my home at 5:30, and yes, there's coffee there, okay? I get it hot and ready. All right, we like Little Caesars, but we have coffee, not pizza. And like, God is just really moving. I mean, he's moving all the time, right? We even sing about it. He's moving when we don't see it. He's moving when we don't feel it. God is always on the move. But he is showing up, and I should be like writing all these things down. I'm really bad. Like sometimes I go through phases where I'm journaling lots of things, but then I go through phases where I just don't. And then I usually look back and I'm like, oh, I should have written that down, because God just keeps showing up, and I feel different. The person that I am today, and also like, I've also experienced trauma and some other, loss and other things going on. But like the person I am today is different than the person I was just a couple months ago, because God is shifting some things around in my thought life, in
It
my
was a
actual
sacrifice. You
life.
sacrificed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's awesome. That is awesome. And to show up at 5:30 for some people, that's a sacrifice.
Yeah, and I even say like if you maybe 5:30 isn't a big deal for you, so pray at another time. But I really think people should be getting together with other people and praying.
I think it's awesome.
Everything we show up for, oh, there's got to be food or we're probably not going.
No.
Or also we show up and get talked at. You give me a word. You sing praise and worship. I just stand here and soak it in. Whatever it is, like you show up receiving. I need this. Pour over me. Get it in here. But when are we actually doing the thing? Okay, maybe on a Sunday you go up to the altar and you pray with somebody during altar call at the end of the service. But when are you actually really doing the thing? Like you should be praying out loud with another person. Something that we talked about this morning in class at the House of Ruth was that you have to make something exist before you can ever make it good. You can't wait until you feel motivated to do something in order to do it. The action comes first, and then you'll get motivated. And in the same, it's like you can't drive a parked car. Also, you have to have so in the beginning, there was chaos and darkness, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. Okay, like that, it was there. It existed. It was dark and there was chaos, but the Spirit was hovering over it, ready to bring life into the situation. But the thing had to exist first. So I think there's a lot of us that need to just make something exist. Maybe we're going to start off and we're going to suck at it. Maybe we're going to start off and we're going to feel insecure and we're not really for sure how it needs to go or what it needs to look like. But I promise you, I fully believe that if you will just make something exist, life will come out of it. And I've also, here's another thing. If I make something exist, if I say it out loud and I share it with another sister in Christ, she takes it in, it does a little thing up here, and then it comes back out her mouth and she adds something to it. Like right now, this is very cool. One of the coolest things that God has been doing in my life lately is bringing this Bible study out of me that I honestly believe he began, he planted the seed years ago. And it's starting to come out. And I can see this turning into equine assisted learning sessions, that we partner a study with activities with the horses. 6 weeks, actually. I've already started the outline. I could also see this turning into a few-day women's retreat. Also, it would involve the horses, but also a time of nature, whatever. But I'm getting all these things down, I'm taking notes, I'm, all the stuff. I'm even making graphics for it because I like to do that kind of stuff. I like to see things look pretty and I think it just adds to it. But I thought I have to make this exist so life can come into it. And a couple weeks ago, I was out mushroom hunting in the woods and I didn't find any mushrooms, but I'm looking around and God's just really impressing upon me that this is a sacred space He wants to show up in this space. He wants to invite women into this space. So I took a picture, I posted it on Facebook, and I'm like, hey, listen, I think we need to have a Bible study just out here in the woods. Who's with me? I had so many comments on that one post. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm not for sure when. I had some stuff going on. I'm working on getting to the other side of this Saturday. We have an event going on at the ranch. And once I get on the other side of that, my brain can relax and I can think about some other things. But I said, I'm probably just going to be like a last minute, like I'm just going to get on Facebook and be like, hey, I'm going out to the woods right now. If you want to come on. But I'm going to go get a table. I'll go set the table up in the middle of the woods and you guys can just meet me there. But I thought, this is what I'm going to bring. You know, unless God were to give me something else at the last minute, and he really just might. But like, that's my plan. What this little study that he's given to me, I'm going to take it to the woods and I'm going to give it out in just a one-time setting, all of it. I'm just going to go dump it, you know, as much as he'll let me. And it's going to be like, hey, we made it exist. Now let's bring life. And I know like he'll bring the right women who need to be there at that time. Every woman is going to have like their thoughts or how it touched them or whatever. And it's just going to grow. I'm going to give it. Everybody can touch it. And then it's going to grow. And then by the time I go back and put it back together as a 6-week program or a 3-day retreat or whatever else that we do, it's going to have so much more life in it. And it's going to be way better than it is now. Because right now it only exists here, you know, in here.
And then it rolls out here.
It's got to come
and
out.
then it is.
It has to exist.
Yep.
And like there's, I follow this page on Instagram. I don't know whose page it is, but I love what they do. It's called Growth by Visuals. And like, they just draw pictures and then it makes sense. But one of them, they like scribble a circle. And then beside it is a picture of a nice, like they've taken that same string and laid it out and made like a nice little organized looking circle. And it's like, make it exist, make it better later, you know, but it has to do the one to do the other. So that's been the big thing that I feel like God is bringing out of me in this time, along with, and I'm not going to say the F word.
Well, good.
But the evidence.
Oh.
Kim.
Oh my gosh. Somebody just needs to reroute my brain. I know what F word you're talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So,
evidence word. The evidence word. I'm not.
yeah. No,
you know,
hey, that's okay.
That's what
So
it is. You know.
I'm seeing where things that would have been a lot harder for me to deal with a few weeks ago, you know, aren't as big of a deal for me right now, or just my desire. I don't know, just a lot. And I should be writing these things down because like right now, as I'm telling you these things, I feel like it's very small, but it's huge. There is so much going on and God is just showing me things and dealing with me and changing with me. And I'm going through a season of growth and I love it. But it all started with, I had to lean in and make that sacrifice, and I had to step out of my comfort zone, and I had to, and I think it wasn't just about the 5:30. It was about inviting other women into that space and us actually being the body of Christ.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. What else did we talk about this morning? This morning's class was really awesome. I came in, so I teach at the House of Ruth under the umbrella of Leaders in Training. Feel free to look them up on Facebook, nonprofit group that started to offer life skills classes to kids in middle school and high school. Over time, they have grown and they've now expanded to teach these same classes to women in recovery. So we're in the recovery home. My sister's teaching the classes at the jail, and the classes have been tweaked. It's obviously not the exact same class, but it's the life skills. And, you know, when Sheila and I first met, it was obvious to the both of us, like, hey, we're kind of doing the same thing, only I'm doing it in a barn with horses, and you're doing it in a classroom. and looking way more professional. But so we've kind of joined forces ever since then. And I really like going in and teaching these classes, but she puts together these really great lessons. This morning was resilience, grit, and grace. And we talked about, you guys remember the old, like, it was like a clown balloon kind of thing, and you'd punch it in the face, and it was bottom heavy, so the whole thing would go down and and then it pop back up. Yeah, so like that's resilience, right? And grit is really so like resilience is the ability to pop back, and grit is like what it takes to do the pop back. And you know, having grace for yourself. We talked about, like, you would never say the things that you say to yourself
to others,
to another woman.
Yeah.
Ever.
Right.
But we will look right at ourselves in the mirror and talk so much dirt to ourselves and put ourselves down and talk about how horrible we are and how bad we look.
We're rough on ourselves.
Oh, the roughest.
So rough. Yeah.
Girl, the Lord isn't doing that to you.
Right.
So, like, why would you do it to you?
Right.
Yeah, but all this stuff just, like, exploded out of this lesson, and it was so cool. And we found ourselves talking about God as El Roi, the God who sees you. Oh, and I was so this happened a while back ago, okay? Like, I'm going through some things. I am feeling the fire of my life. God is stretching me, and I'm really stretching, and it's uncomfortable because that's how growth can be. And like, I know that I'm dealing with things that other people don't even realize, where I'm being pressed and crushed and stretched. And upstairs in my barn are some things that are covered in dust. And there's an old mirror up there that I don't even look at. It's like just leaning up against a wall, covered in dust, but I have to go past it to get into my barn loft for the hay. So I go up the stairs a while back ago, and I take that turn like I do all the time, and something just caught my eye, and I turn and look dead on at that mirror. And I don't know who did this or when they did this, but somebody had written in the dust, "I see you." And it stopped me in my tracks, and I knew that I knew that I knew God put that there. I mean, maybe not with his fingertip. Maybe though, because I don't know who did it. I really don't. Who was in my barn and went upstairs and did that, and how did I not know? You know, so maybe it really was God's fingertip, but maybe he sent somebody else. But even if it was like through an actual human being, I still know for sure that it was God's message, and his timing is always so perfect. Like, he knew when I needed that word. He knew when I needed to know that he was like, "Hey, girl, I know nobody else is seeing what you're going through, but I know exactly the amount of strength that you're exhibiting to walk this out. I know the pressure that you're under. I know the feeling." Because, you know, Proverbs tells us that nobody can fully know the troubles or sorrow of someone's heart, but they can also never fully understand their joy, you know, which brought us back to El Roi, because God does. And like, I started talking about Hagar, and God made a whole point. Like, I know that it was, because I had never even heard this. It was crazy and that's not it. But I mean, I'll tell you the part that I didn't know. But when you think about Hagar, okay, go back to Genesis. She is the concubine of Abraham, but she didn't start off that way.
Right.
She was from Egypt, okay? And if you remember, Abraham and Sarah go to Egypt. Abraham lies to Pharaoh and says that Sarah is his sister. So Pharaoh takes Sarah into his harem. And then God warns him in a dream, "Don't touch her. That is his wife." So Pharaoh's like, "What'd you do to me? You know, why'd you lie? That's crazy." So he's like, "You got to get out of here. You take your wife and go." But just to make sure he was on the right side of God, he sends Abraham out with livestock, probably some silver and gold, and maidservants. Okay? So Hagar is living in Egypt, minding her own business. Maybe she's already a slave girl. Maybe not. We don't know for sure. Either way, we do know that's where she was from. That's the life she's known, the land she knows. That's where her family is. That's where she's comfortable. And then all of a sudden, these people show up and lie to Pharaoh. So her whole life gets uprooted. And then boom, she's gone. So here she is, probably a little upset, maybe sad, scared, maybe bitter. I don't know. But it gets worse. Like, it doesn't even stop there. Okay, because here again, like, first Abraham and Sarah are lying. Now they're in a situation where they're not trusting God. And because they don't trust the God that they serve, like, first of all, she gets ripped away from the gods, she knew. Not that they were real or anything, but still, like, you have to be thinking about what's going on in her mind. Like, okay, your God is so big and bad and good. Like, but you don't trust him? You don't trust him to do what he said he was going to do? And because they don't trust him, they take her and force her to sleep with Abraham. Okay, now let's really think about this, because maybe she probably agreed. But what choice did she really have?
She had to agree.
She had to agree. Right. So the way, I feel like that's rape, guys. Like, maybe she went along with it, but she really didn't have a choice in the matter. It wasn't like, well, I'm going to leave and go to so-and-so's house, or I'm going to call the police, and, there was nothing. She had nobody, absolutely no one to intervene on her behalf. So there she is, and she's forced to sleep with this guy. And then boom, all of a sudden, and then we know she gets pregnant, and then she feels feelings of contempt towards Sarah. Let's be very honest about the fact that that's understandable.
Sarah felt contempt for her, too.
Absolutely. It was very mutual.
Right.
But very understandable on both of their parts. But history kind of looks back and just totally favors Abraham and Sarah, because they are the ones who had God's promise, and it came through, the son that Sarah had, and not through the son Hagar had. But I think we forget about the fact that Abraham and Sarah stirred up a whole lot of trouble, and they definitely took advantage of this young lady, So just because they were chosen doesn't mean that they were always doing right. That's a whole other side point. Right. But anyway, so she has her baby, and then Sarah has Isaac later, and then all of a sudden, like, Hagar and Ishmael, y'all got to get out of here. Okay. And then, but go back and read the whole story. But what I'm going to get at is that they kick them out. They make them leave. They're out wandering in the desert. And you have to, just think of all that Hagar has been through. And she's angry, and she's bitter, and she's heartbroken, and she's been used and abused. And now here she is with this child that they made her have. And she loves the child. It's the only thing that feels like hers in all of this. Like, maybe she didn't like how he came about, but she, I'm sure, loves this child. It is the only thing that's only hers and not Sarah's. She doesn't have to share him. And then he's going to die. In her mind, they're going to starve. They're not going to have water. They're going to be like thirsty to death.
God shows up.
And then, yes, but listen, when he shows up, okay, this is so good. He hears them crying. He shows up. He tells her, like, it's going to be good. But this is what happens. Starting in chapter 21 and verse 19, it says, then God opened Hagar's eyes, and she saw a well full of water. This was the part, I don't know where this came from, but it came right out of my mouth today. That well was already there. It wasn't that he showed up and created a well for them to drink out of. He showed up and opened her eyes to reveal a well that was already there. I mean, if you read that, I feel like that's exactly what it says. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but he opened her eyes and she saw a well full of water. So I think about that, and I think, like, what I think that says and represents is that he was always there. He, God, the living water, he was always there when she was stolen from Egypt, taken away from everything she'd ever known, when she was forced into this sexual relationship, all the way as she was collecting all of her little resentments, when she was bitter, when she was angry, when she was probably having a lot of ungodly thoughts. He was there the whole time. And then he tells her this by revealing a well to her that was already there. And then he talks about how her son is going to grow up in the wilderness. He's going to be a wild ass of a man and against everybody in his family. For some people, because I had always read that and thought, well, that sounds terrible. You know, like that, why would you want that? But when you look at that from Hagar's point of view, that was probably an exact answer to her prayer. Him being against everybody meant like he was independent. That was her ticket to freedom. Him being that way sounds really harsh as we hear it now in 2026. But if you go back to thousands of years ago and think about everything that Hagar went through.
He was a fighter.
Yeah. And that meant for her, she didn't have to be somebody's sex slave anymore. She could go back to the land that she came from. She didn't have to live in some foreign place. You know, so she got all the answers to her prayer, even though she had walked in bitterness and anger and contempt and all that. God showed up for her that day and said, I see you. I see everything that you've ever gone through. This whole journey, I have been here the whole time, and I see the deepest, darkest, most painful places in your heart, and I'm answering your prayers right now. And I know, like, she went back to Egypt and got her son a wife, okay? Like, she went ahead and went on and moved forward in her freedom. You think she went back to those old Egyptian gods? I don't think so. She called God El Roi. You are the God who sees me.
Yeah.
So that was it for her. She truly found God. She just had to get away from where she was, and God did that for her. And man, it was so good this morning. It was just so good. And I love that, because I need to know that God sees me when I'm going through stuff, and I choose not to run my mouth to everybody about what I'm going through, because that's not everybody's business. You know, not everybody needs to know all my struggles. You know, I don't need to go be speaking them out loud and giving them more life than they've already got. You know, Jesus is the person I need to be talking to about them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he sees me. He sees he sees you. He sees everything that you're going through, every struggle. He knows your deepest, darkest fears and pains. But man, when you have that joy, that inexpressible joy, when you've been delivered, when you've been changed, when you've been set free, when you've
There
been
is
blessed.
freedom, so much freedom in walking with Christ. There's so much freedom. There really is. And it's crazy. Things change up, and like, okay, well, we'll just say like me and cussing, okay? But there's so much freedom in not cussing. I don't have to worry about where I'm at. And I really got a pretty good handle. God is like fixed it up, but like pretty good. But while I listen, not to change things.
No, go ahead.
But I need to tell you this, because this is the coolest thing, and for other people to know too.
Okay.
So I had a fitness trainer come into the office today.
Okay.
Free visit, okay? So she tells me her heart is to take women in transition that are like somewhere and they're in recovery, just starting.
Mm-hmm.
And when they step out into the real world, she will train them for free. Because think about this. Exercise is like one of the greatest things that you can do, especially at that time. So she only wants 3 or 4 women, and she is going to get it together, and she's going to do it just as a ministry.
That's awesome.
And she's like, I'm going to make a trade with you. You let me know who needs that done. And man, I already, like right away, I got a patient. I got 2 that I just think of right away. Okay, and how cool. Man, that's cool. So keep that in your mind for the girls at the House of Ruth and whatever.
Listen, do you know, and if any of you are watching right now, I'm going to say it. I'm saying it, and I'm going to say what I say, and I said what I said.
All right.
Say something. I have been trying every group of these ladies that comes through this house. I have tried to stir up and motivate and to get, hey, let's do this. Let's go for walks. Let's work out. Every now and then you'll get one that comes through. But
here's the thing, though. Do you know those drugs? So you can be drug free, okay? But it's stored in your fat, okay? And there are actually some people who were big time drug addicts that when they start exercising, they feel high. And it isn't the exercise high. It's
Stop and give me 20.
Yeah, it's high because you're burning fat. It's releasing those drugs. You'll get rid of them a lot faster, which, i.e., lessens cravings, lessens thoughts, lessens all of it. It's a very good thing, especially in the beginning. Now, it's good all the time, but
so I am a big advocate for exercise or physical labor early on in recovery.
Yes, it's so good for you.
Because, and you know, Dr. Kim, okay, your neural pathways get rewired when you experience trauma or you use drugs.
Right.
So, they can heal, rewire, or reroute to a healthier place. But you know what helps with that? Getting that blood flowing, okay? Getting things moving in there, exercise.
Pattern. Got to change the pattern. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And it made such a huge difference in the beginning of my recovery.
Yeah.
And I love to work out. I do, so you can get dopamine from sitting and eating some junk or from scrolling on Instagram or TikTok.
Or it's not good.
I don't know. There's other ways. But what you get is cheap, easy, fast dopamine. That's not going to last long, though. That's the thing about what's cheap and what's easy and fast. It tends to go away quickly.
And do we know that?
When you work harder for your dopamine, when you build relationships with horses, when you do cardio, when you're, go run a mile, when you lift weights, that's the kind of dopamine that's harder to build and takes a little longer to build it, but it gives you bigger and longer lasting
it's time
dopamine.
Released. It's time released.
So there is a proverb that says, wealth from get-rich-quick schemes won't last, but wealth from hard work will last. Okay, that's not exactly what it says, but it's really close. And I read that and thought, oh my gosh, Solomon's talking about the money, but that 100% fits the dopamine. Let's call them dopamine dollars. You know what I'm saying? So your get rich quick scheme is the easy, fast, cheap dopamine. That's not going to last. But the stuff you have to work hard to get, it lasts. And then also it carries you to re-motivate you to do the next thing you need to continue building the dopamine
But if
that
you
lasts
think,
longer.
right? And that goes across the board. So, you know, building relationships with women, that's
Yeah.
lasting.
Yes.
Reading the word and getting
Lasting.
wise and learning to discern, that's life lasting.
Praying.
So that's like what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, doing the things that you don't feel like doing.
Right.
But again, like we think motivation is a feeling that we have to have that gets us started on whatever we need to do. That, my friends, is a lie. It's actually the other way around.
Like a feeling about God. Okay, like I don't feel like a mood of worship. Doesn't matter. I worship, and guess what? That changes totally. That's the
Yeah.
same thing. I don't feel like praying. I don't know what to even say to God. Okay, well, get down on your knees, sit there, and guess what? That whole thing will change. It's just like that with everything.
Make it exist first
Yeah.
and let the Holy Spirit bring life into it.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm at my rope.
Is that a rope? Okay. Well, we better get out of here before she does something dangerous
No, I'm not
with
going
it.
to.
She already shot me. You guys were you all saw it. You saw it.
I didn't listen. I called Heather to see how prayer group was going. Now, I could have texted her, but here's the thing. I want to hear her tell me because she needs to speak it and I need to hear it. So I'm probably going to go next Tuesday. I mean, I'm working my way there. I've had a lot of stuff, but see, that's really important. That wasn't a texting conversation. That's a you tell me, then I hear you telling me. And it was like I heard you start, and then by the end of it, it's like this big, and then I hang up, and I'm like, yes.
She's filled. She's pumped.
Yeah.
She's encouraged.
Just
motivated.
a little conversation.
And it was another opportunity for me to share
Oh,
how
good.
good God is and how
And she
He's
hears
shown up.
herself
So I'm
talk.
edified.
Yeah, she hears
I'm walking
herself.
away.
Yeah.
All right. You know what else strikes me? Just how Jerry Springer, the Old Testament, can be. All right. And I just want to share some of this with you because I know there's somebody out there who, like, you'll flip through reels. Maybe you'll turn on a podcast while you're cleaning your house, but you're really not digging into that word. And you say you're a Christian. And I'm not going to say you're not because I think you are. That's just where you are right now. Okay? And that's okay. We've all been on that journey. And, you know, you're going to just keep going because you're going to end up, God is going to draw you into His word. But I just want to drop a little something in your lap because I want you to know what you're missing out on. Okay, so here's some fun first of all, the whole thing about Abraham and Hagar and Sarah, if that doesn't pique your interest, like I don't even know what will, but let me hit you with this one. Okay, so Abraham has a grandson. We're moving further along into the book of Genesis, okay? And his name is Jacob. Later, God changes his name to Israel. So that's where, you know, we get the name Israel for the country. These are his descendants. Okay. So Jacob, all right, totally messes his brother over and steals his birthright. And his brother wants to kill him. So his mom, who was in on this whole bamboozling thing, tells him, you got to get out of here. I want you to go to my brother, Laban. And you stay there until I can send word to you that your brother's chilled out and it's safe for you to come home. Okay? So he goes to his uncle's house. All right? He shows up in the area and this hot chick is outside like watering the sheep. And he's like, dang, wherever you're going, I'm going home with you. Okay? Finds out that's his cousin. Okay? This is his uncle's daughter. And his uncle welcomes him when he realizes who it is. And he's like, you can stay here. You can work for me. They make a deal. He's going to work 7 years for his uncle Laban so he can marry his cousin Rachel because she's hot. and he loves her. He feels very passionately about her. So he works this whole 7 years, and then they have the wedding, okay? And you know, the Middle Eastern garb, like she's all covered up, whatever. They have the wedding and the feast. They go home. They do it, you know, like they're doing the husband and wife fresh thing. And he wakes up the next morning, okay, picture it. They're laying there all snuggled up. The sunlight comes in and hits her face, and he looks over, and it's not Rachel, it's her sister, Leah. Like, what? So he goes and he's like, you've lied to me and you bamboozled me. Like, oh, the bamboozler got bamboozled. But he was like, listen, it's customary. The oldest daughter has to get married before the youngest daughter. It wouldn't have been right for me to give you Rachel first. So then he has to agree to his uncle Laban that he'll work a whole other 7 years so that he can marry Rachel too. So he does. And there's a lot more to that story, but just a little fun.
That's Jerry Springer.
That is Jerry
all the way
Springer.
to the bank.
Because look, they get into baby having wars.
Yeah.
Okay? Like they are literally, so they leave. They each have handmaidens, okay? So he has the 2 wives. They each have their handmaidens. So that's 4 chicks, all right? And like the one sister's having all these babies, and this one isn't having babies. So then she's like, well, I'm going to give Jacob my handmaiden. Who'd they get that from, Grandpa? Okay? And then now Jacob's having babies with this one's handmaid, but this one, and she's like, oh, well, if you're going to throw your handmaid in the mix, I'm going to throw my handmaid in the mix. So she gives her handmaid to Jacob, and then Jacob's having babies with 4 women now. And these, like the children that come out of these unions are the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay? And I mean, just absolute craziness. I love the Word of God. God just really wanted us to know that He uses and chooses messed up, imperfect people.
That's why we're sitting up here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we need to know that. I mean, how could we ever stand? You know, we could go back to the whole filthy rags deal because that's the best we have to offer. How could we ever stand? Them fitty rags, which, you know, here's another part of Rachel and Jacob and Leah's story.
Do you see this?
That, I'll wrap it up. But Rachel, when they leave Laban's to go back to Jacob's home, she steals one of her dad's idols. Okay, he catches up with them and he's like, I know you stole it. I'm searching everything. And Jacob's like, we didn't steal your stuff. Like, search everything. And so he's searching and searching and searching. Well, he goes into a tent and Rachel's sitting on the ground and she's like, I'm so sorry. I can't get up, for the time of women has come upon me. Okay, and it really made me think, you know, about like,
Fitty rags.
Fitty rags. The fitty rags. And that's the best we have to offer, which is why God picked these imperfect people so that we would know He was using them fitty rags before He ever got to our fitty rags.
Yeah. We all got fitty rags.
The speckled and the spotted, which is a whole other part of Jacob's story, but you got to read it because Kim won't let me keep talking. She's tired and she wants to go home.
I am tired. I am.
But you just got to get in there. You got to read your Old Testament. You got to know what all these crazy suckers were up to.
It's actually fun, and it will let you know you are chosen. Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
We are chosen, fitty rags and all.
Fitty rags.
All right.